Good morning, happy Monday. Let's get started. So another reminder that anytime you see a green space, that means you need to complete an activity. So this week we will learn about the events of a devastating fire at the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory in March of 1911. You will explore how these events influenced changes in laws and how we still look at this event and its aftermath today to inform safety practices in the workplace. You will analyze different accounts of the events and how an author's perspective can impact the reader. Then you'll make arguments to support how effective these retellings are in achieving the author's goals. Today you will focus on reading about the events of the fire, and you will draw some conclusions about informational text structures and how they support an author's purpose for writing. So the directions for today. First, you're going to watch the video to learn about the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory fire. It's like a tongue twister. And read a brief article that describes the events. Then you'll complete the slide to track details from the video and article for two specific areas of focus. Finally, you'll read an excerpt about the impacts of the event and revisit the two focus areas to add new information and answer a final question. So if you need additional help with this activity, you just go to slide 10. That'll provide you with some extra help, but of course I will be going through slide 10 with you, so you'll be able to see. Okay, if you need the translated directions, all you do is click on these links and it'll take you right to the directions. So the language focus, you did this last week, so you should have an idea of how to do this. So you're going to look at all the words below and determine how well you already know each word. So you're going to type an X in the column that best represents how well you know and understand the term. So if you have no idea, you're going to put an X on all the no ideas. If you think it's familiar, meaning like you've heard it before, you're going to put an X on familiar. And if you know the word well and the definition, you're going to put an X on I know it well. For the words that you marked know it well, which means you understand the word and can explain it, you're going to write a definition on here. So any words that you mark as know it well, you need to also write a definition. For it's familiar and no idea, you don't need to write a definition. All right, so again, we did this last week, so we should have an idea of how to do this. In each box, copy and paste an image from Google that shows the meaning of the word. So I'm assuming if you did not know the meaning of the word, this is where you're actually going to look the meaning up. So you look the meaning up and then you find a picture that coincides with the meaning that you found on Google. All right, so I'm going to go through this because it's kind of confusing as to when you use which resource. So today you'll read two different texts. On the next slide is a link to a brief article and video from history.com that describe the events of the fire at the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory on March 25th, 2011 in New York City. Later in today's lesson, you'll also be reading an excerpt from an informational text that describes the impacts of the fire and its aftermath. The full text can be found here. So they link the full text here, but you're not going to use this until a little bit later. So for some background information, on March 25th, 1911, the Triangle Shirtwaist Company factory in New York City burned, killing 145 workers. It is remembered as one of the most infamous incidents in American industrial history. As the deaths were largely preventable, most of the victims died as a result of neglected safety features and locked doors within the factory building. The tragedy brought widespread attention to the dangerous sweatshop conditions of factories and led to the development of a series of new laws and regulations that better protected the safety of its workers. All right, so you're going to click on the photograph to watch a short video that describes the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory fire. So when you click on this link will come up and you'll click on this link right here. I don't know if you can see it because my face is kind of in the way. But you'll click on the link that's right here and you will watch the video. After you watch the video, you're going to write a brief summary of what caused the fire and what was done as a result of it. Okay, so what caused the fire, and then what kind of changes did they make because of that fire and wanting to prevent future fires from happening. All right, so again, you're not using the first article yet. We're using a different article, and then you move on to the article that they linked in the first couple of slides. So linked here is a short article. Linked here, click it, and there it is. Is a short article from News ELA that gives a bit more information about the events of the fire. Both the video and the article cover two major areas of focus listed in the organizer below. After reading, add at least two details from both the video and the article to the organizer that support the two different focus areas. So, focus one, the fire was an avoidable tragedy. One of the examples that they gave you is the fire escape doors were locked during work. So, that's one example of how the fire was an avoidable tragedy. You are going to take an example from either the video or this link right here and fill in another example or two different details for this focus area. The second focus area is the impact of the fire led to many different actions. Factory owners were taken to court but were not convicted. That's one thing that happened as a result of the fire. You're going to take two more, or you're going to look at two more things that you can put into this focus area from either the article or the video. All right, so now you are going to use the article that they gave you in the first couple of slides. Now that you know more about the event itself, read this short excerpt from The Story of the Triangle Factory Fire, an informational text by Zachary Kent. After reading the excerpt, add new information and evidence from the passage to the focus areas in the spaces below. Click here for the text. So again, you're going to do this right here. You're going to click here, and then you're going to use that text now to put details into these two same focus areas. The fire was an avoidable tragedy, and the impact of the fire led to many different actions. So you're going to choose information and evidence to put into these. I would say at least two. Don't just put one. I would say at least two per focus area. I'll add that. There we go. All right. So, the whole purpose of this is to explore how text structures support an author's purpose. As you completed your organizer, you may have noticed that one article may focus more heavily on the causes of the tragedy, while the other may focus more heavily on the impacts of the events and changes made as a result. Why might authors spend more time retelling in one focus area over another? What effects does this have on the message they are trying to communicate to the reader? So what effect does it have that one article focused heavily on the causes and one article focused heavily on the impacts? Think about why an author would choose to focus mostly on causes, or why an author would choose to focus mostly on impacts. So you're going to jot your ideas in the space below and refer back to the readings from today to support your ideas. So that means by providing text evidence. Okay? So when you are supporting your ideas, you need to do that with text evidence. Otherwise, you're just throwing out ideas that may or may not be true, and anybody can do that. Okay? So this is slide 10, the slide coming up next. This is what they asked you to look at in order to help you. So if you need additional help, a closer look at cause and effect structure. Text structures are the way a piece of writing is built. They are how the author organizes their ideas. Authors use text structures to support the meaning of the text. So why might an author emphasize causes? To analyze why something happens, to explain why something happened or is happening, and to predict what will probably happen next. And then to explain that there are many different causes which can be responsible for one effect. So these are some reasons why an author might emphasize cause. And then here's reasons why an author might emphasize effect. To analyze the impact of something, to explain that there are many different effects which can be produced by a single cause, or to create a call to action. All right. So that's it for today. Please use the live question sheet. Please give me, or make sure you check in for attendance. That is mandatory. Other than that, have a great day.